Let's do this. The Great Park in Irvine, California. We're going to tour it for you, do a driving tour, and you will see a rare sight. You will see new construction in the center of Orange County. So let's get started.
So we're going into the Great Park.
Yeah, so there's a distinction between the Great Park neighborhood and then the actual Great Park.
They're in the Great Park villages.
Yeah, well, the Great Park villages.
Let's get the terminology right.
Yes, let's get it right. So the Great Park villages and then the Great Park. So, the Great Park, if you've ever watched this channel.
Above average park. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Great distinction.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah, so the best way I've ever heard it described is the Great Park. It's not that great. But that's mostly because of how it was
and the best way you've heard it said was from yourself.
Well, so the way that the Great Park was sold to the voters of Orange County was that it was going to be like this huge tourist attraction. It was going to be like the next Central Park.
In New York City.
In New York City. It was going to be great. And then it didn't turn out that way. It has turned out into like a nice park that, locals like to use. It is nice. Like there's lots of fields. There's soccer fields, baseball fields, volleyball courts.
Volleyball stadiums. Baseball stadiums.
There's an ice skating rink where the Anaheim Ducks, I believe, practice. So, there's a lot of stuff here. And there's a water park here.
Oh, yeah. A tethered hot air balloon.
Yeah, a hot air balloon that you can ride up and down in.
When it's perfectly still.
Yeah, when there's literally not a single breath of wind in the sky. But, so there's a lot, it's not to say that the Great Park isn't nice, because it is. It's more like a local park that nobody's going to come here from outside of Irvine.
Yeah, and this is the classic, overpromise, underdeliver,
yes,
right? So if they actually underpromise it, we'd be like, this is amazing. Because to anyone that actually doesn't know the backstory, this is actually pretty cool. It's just that it was sold to us because this was supposed, so we're on Marine Way, and the reason why it's called that is because this is a decommissioned Marine Air Base, right? So this is what they used to call El Toro Air Base. And it was decommissioned back in the 90s. And so they had this air base, legitimately had 4 runways. And again, for sure they would have to reconfigure it, but the plan was to actually have this be this international airport because Orange County doesn't have one. The nearest one is Los Angeles LAX, which is horrific, as far as just the traffic and all that stuff to go through it. And then you may have Ontario to a much lesser degree. So Orange County was, we have John Wayne Airport, which is more of a regional airport, a very robust airport for the fact that it has only 3 terminals, but still is not a major international airport hub. And so Orange County, because we had this plot of land, all the construction around it had all the zones for sound and stuff, because this was developed way before any of the other stuff was. It was just this really fascinating spot to put an international airport. But it was voted 4 times, approved 3 times, but struck down that infamous 4th time, and they were just and so Irvine annexed this land, and basically it became the promise of this amazing, great park and everything. So before we continue, I'm Sean Dezad.
And I'm Courtney Dezad, and we are licensed real estate agents here in the state of California.
And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love Orange County. I love the glitz. I love the glamour. I love the incredible weather. And I can't wait to move out there now. But the problem is I'm not local. I may be out of area, maybe even out of state. And I totally get that. That's why you want to reach out to us so we can basically find that perfect property for you, really get granular about what you're looking for, find you that perfect home. We can be your boots on the ground. And actually, I work with a team. So even if I'm not available to show you, we always have someone that is available for you. So what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country. Yeah, and then there is going to be a concert venue. I forgot about that. There will be a concert venue here, a permanent one, and then we're going to be taking you into the neighborhoods. So the neighborhoods here, I actually would say are great. It's one of the only places in central Orange County so that you can actually get new construction. Most of the new construction that is available in Orange County seems to be off on the edges, right? So we've done a tour of Rancho Mission Viejo, which is one of the only big areas in all of Orange County that has new construction. So this is actually centrally located new construction, which is kind of insane.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say that the fact that Rancho Mission Viejo, it's out there, right? I mean, you're going pretty far south and east. You're literally, it's kind of so part of what they're going to be developing is even more south than San Clemente, which is the farthest south city in Orange County, but that's kind of how far like out of the way it is. It's actually not that terrible to get to. It's just that compared to here, where this is very centrally located, I mean, it's kind of incredible. So you're really close to the Irvine Spectrum, which is this mega shopping mall, this huge job employment hub, and you're in Irvine, and so it's very rare to find a swath of land that can be developed that's so close to everything, because everything would have been developed by now.
Yeah, and then to the left of us, I don't know if you can see, is the water park.
Yeah, that's Wild Rivers. That's a brand new version of it. When we were kids, they had Wild Rivers actually just a few miles down the road, and they tore that down for development, and then now they built this, which is awesome. But this has just been open
last year.
Yeah, it's very, very recent. We haven't had a chance to go there yet, but we will.
I don't know if we will.
At some point.
At some point, maybe sometime
One day.
in the future.
There are other things that we could definitely do before that, but water slides, I'm sure the kids would love it.
I'm sure they would, but we always tend to find ourselves like so busy on the weekend that I mean, I need a vacation for my weekend, so.
This is true. And then, so there's still, the Great Parks neighborhood, the village is the Great Park, or the Great Parks Village. The exact terminology is kind of always throws me off. It's either the Great Parks Villages or the Great Parks and Neighborhoods.
I have no idea. It's
one of them. So, and we'll get confirmation in a moment. But basically, you have a lot of variation here. So you have stuff that was really built in the mid-2010s starting off, and then it's being built to this day, and you have a combination of condos, townhomes, and single-family residences. And what you'll see is that the newer the construction, the more vertical it's getting.
Yeah.
So land is definitely at a premium. And so basically where you have 3 stories is very common.
Yeah, so as we go into here, you can start seeing like where these very vertical buildings are. And if you've ever watched any of our other tours, you can see that the trees here are quite small because they're new, right? So definitely the Great Park has more of like a deserty feel.
For the moment, until it grows enough.
Until it grows enough, yeah.
So just passing by like Parasol Park, which is one of many parks here. Very characteristic of Irvine is to have a park around every corner. And actually, I mean, the Great Parks neighborhoods like this, you really have actually like these parks are kind of like on steroids. I mean, they're really very nice parks.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you'll see, and also you'll see a variation of like a lot of different architecture here. It kind of varies. Like you have more of a traditional type of architecture, and then you obviously have like much more like contemporary, I guess.
Yeah, for me personally, I don't personally like the modern like all that much. That's just my own personal taste. But there are some very beautiful neighborhoods in here that are more contemporary. So
yeah, so it just kind of depends on the flavor of home that you like, and so that's where you would reach out to us to kind of let us know, well, what style do you want, like that kind of thing, and then we can obviously point you that direction. And the Great Parks, just so you know, because it's so new, you will be likely subject to Mello-Roos. So what that is a layer of property tax that is tacked on top of the property tax rate. This is the pools, by the way, so I don't want to throw us off. This is an amazing feature within the Great Parks.
To the right of us.
Yes.
Yeah. So the pools is just a little area that has a pool. A lap pool, and it's like a park, and then we can head into where it's a little bit more contemporary, like the architecture is.
More traditional, I would say.
Yeah. I don't know why I use the word contemporary.
It's like more the opposite.
I meant traditional. Yes. I'm more like it, but this part of the Great Park is a little bit older.
Yeah,
it's a little older though.
Yeah, all of 2015. I mean, how are you going to survive?
Well, depending on what part of the country you're from, like you may be from a part of the country where there's a ton of new construction. Like that's just not the case in Orange County. Like it's very rare to have new construction, and for us, like something that's built in 2015, we're like, wow, that is so new.
Yeah.
And on the other end of the coin is like we don't have anything that's super old either. Like.
Yeah, like Irvine actually kind of exemplifies that. So basically, a lot of Irvine was built in the 1970s and up, and so 1970s is not considered old. Where I know a lot of the country's like, oh my gosh, it's ancient.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not ancient. So like LA County, you'll get that, in San Diego County for that matter. Yeah. You'll get a lot of stuff that's built in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
We don't have much of that here. Not to say we don't have little pockets. Yeah, we do have some like Old Town, kind of Orange, or even Santa Ana's downtown.
Santa Ana has some older ones.
Yeah, so you have some little pockets of like kind of old, But most of Orange County is like honestly built in the 1960s and up, maybe some 1950s. But that's to kind of give you a sense of like the ages here. But so Great Park, getting back to what we're talking about, Melrose for newer stuff. So it's this extra layer of property taxes where you're like, it could be, depending on the neighborhood and the property itself, it could be a few $100s extra per year, or it could almost literally double your property tax rate, where that's obviously rather significant. So we would, when we had that conversation, we would, go over the various fees and everything like that you'd be like looking at. And then also on top of that, the Great Park, you'll have HOAs. So very few pockets of Irvine do not have HOAs. Very, very few.
Call us if you are interested. There
are some. However, the vast majority of Irvine does have HOAs, and honestly, I don't mind them. I mean, I think that HOAs kind of keep things, relatively neat and tidy and uniform. But some people going, this is my house, my land. I don't want that extra layer of oversight, and I get that too, for sure. Because we've actually had our, I remember my family had a house in an HOA, not in Irvine, but like in Hawaii actually, and they didn't approve our palette colors for the house, so we got fines and stuff like that. So now you're starting to see things a little bit more mature again, about the 2015.
I like that house range. Is so pretty. I love the gardening in that house.
Exactly.
What a nice. Whoever owns that house, I don't know who you are, but good job.
The properties here aren't known for large swaths of land. If that's something you're looking for, Irvine in general is not going to be your best bet. I mean, there are some pockets where you have some extra land, but the vast majority of Irvine is definitely not set up that way.
Yeah, the reason why Irvine is kind of like the land of 10,000 parks is because people don't have much of a yard, like typically speaking. So in order to enjoy this beautiful weather that we have here in Orange County, California, you have to go to the park, which I don't mind because I personally like to walk my kids somewhere, make them as much energy as they can get out. I'm like the mean mom that's making them hike like 3-4 miles. Like I have made them do that before since they were very little. So yeah, that's just me. So I don't mind the walking.
Which our daughter is like, she's such a pleaser, right? Like she walks the straight and narrow and stuff like that. Our son gives a little pushback.
Yeah, significant bribery is having to happen. Right now, my bribery is in the form of Pokemon cards. So that's how he's getting ahead in his reading and math. Because I'm bribing him to do extra reading and extra math worksheets.
There we go.
With Pokemon cards. So far, it's working.
So far.
So, yeah.
And that works for this week.
Yeah, it works for this week. Yes, but I don't know how to parent other than bribery. I mean, if you have any ideas, please comment down below. Because I don't know. Like, my sister's always like, how do you get your kids to do this? I'm like, bribing them. How else do I do it? There's literally no other way.
And then we're going to start getting into some neighborhoods that are a bit more new and more active construction going on. But we wanted to show that the Great Parks isn't just about brand new construction. We want, that would be a disservice to you. So there's definitely some newer homes that have they're being resold as we speak. So you're not stuck with just the brand new stuff. And actually, this is a nice little tidbit or a little segue from that perspective, is that some people go, well, I want the brand new property because then there's no issues with it. And that's not necessarily true. We always recommend that whether you work with us or not, like having a realtor represent you when you're going to buy a new construction, because if you're not, like, then you're kind of dealing with specifically, it's just like you on one side and the realtor and all of their representatives on the other side. And so there's no one looking out for necessarily your best interest, right? And that's where it can kind of get dicey because the contracts that they have written up, the various inspections and all that stuff that take place, it can kind of be a little bit, like you're kind of like off on your own, and it can be a little scary, right? Because you think that a brand new construction is fine, there's nothing to do with it, but actually not all the kinks have been worked out. I actually sold a home that was 2 years old, last year, and the home inspector that we had check it out, he said, actually, I love the 2-year-old homes because all the kinks have been worked out. So, like, the home inspection report was super clean. And if you know anything about home inspection reports, they're typically like 100 pages long with all this stuff. And this one is there was such minor things that were cited because all the kinks were worked out. But the thing is, it's good to know, right? But like a new construction, the kinks necessarily haven't been worked out. So they may have been like corners cut. I don't want to say blame the builder or whatever, but some things may have been missed or whatever that might be. And if you don't have a home inspector checking out, then all of a sudden you're buying this property, and if issues arise, there you go, right? So it can be kind of an issue. And also, not to mention that you're also dealing with a situation where if you don't have a home inspection done, like actually a friend of ours bought a property out of state, and an expensive home, like a $4 million home, and the pipe burst for the downstairs, for the basement, and flooded the whole basement, right? And hopefully in that situation, a home inspector could have caught it as far as that being a potential issue. So it's not even like, if it's a cheap home, whatever, it could be an expensive home. But, again, things happen, and that's where it helps to obviously have a home inspector.
Yeah, so our friend bought a home. It was new construction, and he went direct with the builder and didn't do an inspection or anything like that. So
yes,
yeah. So now we're going to be heading to some new new construction homes. I know a lot of what we were showing you before was homes that have built a decent amount before. I guess as born and raised Southern Californians, I don't really get all that excited about new construction.
No.
I guess to do that's so unusual.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's great. I don't have any issue with it. It's just it's not something I get all jacked up about.
Yeah, it's not something. I know it's so funny. Some people are new construction or bust. All I want is new construction.
Which I get. Okay, I will say this. We've invested in other areas around different parts of the country, and what's funny is that I never understood that until going into those areas, why new construction was such a thing. Why does that matter, right? And then all of a sudden, when you bought into that thing, you're like, wow, it actually really does make a difference, because all the new constructions where I won't say all the good neighborhoods are, but you just get to see the new fresh car or whatever. And so when you just have wide swaths being built over and over and over, you're like, yeah, why not? Why live in a place that's been previously occupied? But what we find in Orange County is that it's so mature that a lot of the pockets that are existing construction, they were built well, so they weren't built it feels like a lot of parts of the country with new construction, I don't think the quality was very good, and so you're going, oh, okay, I can see why this stuff really does kind of wear out in a weird way, whereas it feels like here, even though the stuff's built out of wood, it's not like we're built like the East Coast where it's brick and stone and everything, but it just feels like you could definitely, those properties have an economic life or have a lifespan of much greater than 30 years or whatever.
Well, another thing about new construction, at least in Orange County, is that usually, so the Great Park is an exception, usually it's very far away, so
if you want some, we just passed by Altair, and that is some fancy stuff.
Yeah, so that's actually a gated part of the Great Park, and we are going to do a video about that sometime in the future. When that is, I don't know.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery, and that's why so is mankind.
There you go.
But it's a super ritzy part of the Great Park, so subscribe to our channel if you want to get a tour of that. So now we are finally reaching into the newest of the new construction. So here we have some homes that are actually being built.
Yeah, and this is Portola High School to our right. Pretty brand new, actually.
Yeah, so since it is Portola High School, that gives us an opportunity to talk about the Irvine Unified School District. So the Irvine Unified School District, very famous for its very high rankings, definitely has received rankings national rankings. I think niche.com ranks Irvine as the number 5 or the number 7, I'm not sure. Best city to live in the United States for public schools. So the Irvine Unified School District, definitely, its reputation precedes itself, and it's a big reason why Irvine is very popular. It's why we get a lot of calls about Irvine. So yeah, so now we're just showing you some of the actual new construction. This is an almost unbelievable sight to be in the center of Orange County and seeing homes that are actually being constructed as we speak. I'm a little bit
blown away.
Whoa. I feel like I'm in the Carrie Underwood music video, Blown Away.
Oh, there is that.
Although I think the meaning is vastly different.
Very.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is stuff that's really very, very new.
Yes, very new.
With a very new school.
With a very new school is right. And that's nice that it's just across the street, the Portola High School.
And do you see it? That thing looks pretty sweet. That campus looks insane to me as far as how to buy it. To not only for the land, but to develop these days with the construction prices as they are.
And then now we're driving into Solis Park School, which I think this must be like completely new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never actually heard of this school. So yeah, totally, this is a little bit blowing my mind to have this much new construction, like I've said multiple times.
Yeah, in a central part of Orange County.
Yeah,
Like,
in centrally located Orange County.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Yeah, it's one thing to be in Rancho Mission Viejo. And you're like, okay, yeah, I mean, it's, that's where they're doing it. But
yeah, because that's far off in the outskirts.
But yeah, but for here, like, that's very interesting. Yeah, look at that school. It's all fancy.
Yeah, it's super fancy. So I don't know anything about that school, but it looks super fancy, and it looks like maybe there's some like tech opportunities for your kids in there. Although don't quote me on that. I'm literally just assuming that, but we all know what assuming means.
Yes.
We know what assuming does. But yeah, so this is cool. Like, this is super cool part of Irvine.
Scaffolding and everything. This is like...
Yeah, this is blowing my mind.
No joke.
No joke.
And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of California, so as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you would do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.